Why does your dog sigh? Not a small breath. That big one. The deep, heavy, almost theatrical exhale they let out as they flop down beside you. The one that sounds so human, it makes you laugh, or sometimes makes you wonder if something's wrong. You know exactly the sound I mean. And if you've ever stopped, even for a second, and thought, what was that about? You've stumbled onto something more interesting than most people realize. Because a dog's sigh is not one thing. It's a whole little language of its own, and the same sound can mean completely different things depending on the moment it arrives in. There's a sigh of pure contentment. There's a sigh of disappointment. There's even a sigh that's a quiet signal worth paying attention to. Most owners hear all of them as the same noise and miss the message entirely. By the end of this video, you'll be able to tell them apart, and you'll never hear that heavy exhale the same way again. Let me show you using one dog, a big old Labrador named Bear, and a single ordinary evening. Stay with me. Because near the end, there's the one kind of sighing that isn't about emotion at all, and knowing the difference matters. First, let's be clear about what's physically happening, because it grounds everything else. A sigh, in dogs as in us, is simply a long, deep breath followed by a long, slow breath out, often through the nose, sometimes with a little vocal sound on the way. Physically, it's a kind of reset. In humans, sighs help reinflate the tiny air sacs in our lungs and are tied closely to shifts in our emotional and physical state. Dogs share much of the same basic machinery, so a sigh sits right at the meeting point of body and mood. It's a physical act, but it tends to arrive at emotionally meaningful moments, which is exactly why it's so readable, if you know the context. And context is the whole game here. The sigh itself is just the sound. What tells you what it means is everything around it. Where your dog is, what they're doing, what just happened, and crucially, the rest of their body. So let's follow Bear through an evening and watch his sighs actually mean different things, one by one. It's early evening. Bear has been pottering around, half hoping something interesting might happen, and now his family has finally settled onto the sofa for the night. Bear walks over, circles once, and drops to the floor against his owner's feet. His body goes soft. His eyes get heavy, and out comes that long, low, rumbling exhale. This is the most common sigh of all, and it's the easiest to read once you know the signs. This is the sigh of contentment. You can recognize it by the body around it. A content sigh comes from a relaxed dog, loose muscles, soft eyes, often lying down, settling in. It's the sound of a dog releasing the last bit of tension from their body and giving themselves over to rest. It usually means some version of, everything is good, I'm safe, I can switch off now. Think about when Bear does it. He's with his people. He's comfortable. Nothing more needs to happen tonight. That sigh is the sound of a dog who has decided the day is complete. It's one of the most peaceful signals your dog can give you. A small, audible full stop at the end of feeling safe. Notice how much of the meaning lives not in the sound, but in the loose, settled body it came from. Now the evening shifts. Bear isn't quite ready to give up on the day. He pads over to his owner and rests his chin on their knee, glancing pointedly toward the door, then toward his lead, then back. He's asking for a walk. But it's late and wet outside, and his owner gently says no and goes back to their book. Bear stands there a moment longer, and then he walks a few steps away, slumps down dramatically, and lets out a short, sharp huff of a sigh. This is a completely different sigh, and most dog owners know it instantly because it's so relatable. This is the sigh of disappointment or resignation. It often comes when a dog has been hoping for something, a walk, a game, a bit of food, and realizes it isn't happening. The body language is different from the content sigh. There may be a bit more tension, a pointed flop, a sense of giving up on a specific hope. Researchers studying dog behavior have noted that these resignation-type sighs tend to appear when a dog disengages from a goal they wanted. In plain terms, it's your dog's version of, well, fine then. It's not distress, and it's not something to feel guilty about. It's simply an emotional honesty most dogs wear right out loud. Bear wanted the walk, Bear didn't get the walk, and Bear told the whole room about it in a single breath. Here's what's remarkable, and it's the whole point of this video. Bear's contentment sigh and Bear's disappointment sigh can sound almost identical. The exhale itself barely changes. What changes completely is the context and the body it comes from. One came from a loose, settling dog beside his people. The other came from a dog who'd just been told no and walked away. Same sound. Opposite meanings. And the only way to tell them apart is to stop listening to just the sound and start reading the whole dog. This is something you can test for yourself right now if your dog is nearby. Next time you hear that heavy exhale, don't just register the noise. Take a 1-second snapshot of the whole picture. Is the body loose or tense? Are they settling down? Or did they just walk away from something they wanted? Did something just happen, a no, a closed door, the end of play? Or is everything calm and finished for the night? The answer is almost always written plainly in the moment around the sigh. Once you start doing this, you'll realize your dog has been telling you exactly how they feel, out loud, this whole time. You just hadn't learned to listen to the context instead of the sound. There's a fascinating extra layer here, and Bear shows it too. Later in the evening, Bear sighs again, but this time he does something telling. He looks right at his owner as he does it. That little detail matters. Some of a dog's sighing isn't purely an internal release. It's communication aimed at us. Dogs are extraordinary readers of human attention, and over thousands of years of living alongside us, they've learned which of their signals get a response. If a dog has discovered that a big, audible sigh reliably makes their person look over, speak to them, or come and check on them, that sigh can become a learned way of getting attention, a bid for connection. This is the same kind of learning behind so much of what dogs do around us. They notice what works on their particular human, and they do more of it. A dog who gets fussed over every time they sigh dramatically is, in a sense, being taught to sigh dramatically. None of this is calculated or manipulative in the way we might imagine. It's simply a social animal learning the levers of its own household. And this doesn't mean the sigh is fake. The feeling underneath is usually real. But dogs, like us, learn to express their feelings in ways that work on their audience. Think of how a person might sigh a little louder when someone they trust is in the room, not performing a fake emotion, but letting a real one out where it might actually be heard. When Bear sighs while looking at his owner, he may be doing something subtly social, not just venting a feeling, but sharing it, addressing it to the one person most likely to respond. It's worth being honest that we can't read his exact intention, but the pattern, the sigh aimed at a trusted face, is one many owners will recognize the instant they hear it described. So by the end of Bear's evening, we've heard the same basic sound carry at least 3 different messages: contentment, disappointment, and a quiet bid for connection. And the tool that decoded all of them was the same one: context. This is really the master skill behind this entire channel, and the sigh is the perfect place to practice it. No single behavior has one fixed meaning. The sigh is a word, and the rest of your dog, the body, the eyes, the situation, the timing, is the sentence that tells you what the word means this time. Here's a simple framework you can carry with you. When you hear the sigh, ask 3 quick questions. 1. What is the body doing, loose and settled, or tense and pointed? 2. What just happened? A peaceful wind down, or a hope that got dashed? 3. Are they looking at you, which hints at communication, or off into space, which hints at a private release? You won't always get a definitive answer, and you don't need one. But running those 3 questions turns a vague, "my dog just sighs sometimes," into a genuine read on how your dog is feeling, moment to moment. That's the difference between hearing your dog and actually understanding them. Now, the part I asked you to stay for, because there's one kind of sighing that isn't emotional at all, and it's the one worth knowing about. Everything we've talked about, contentment, disappointment, connection, is normal, healthy, and lovely. But the key, as always on this channel, is context and change. Emotional sighs come and go with the situation. A content sigh as your dog settles, a huff when they don't get the walk. They fit the moment. What's different is breathing that doesn't fit the moment. If a dog is sighing or making frequent heavy, labored, or groaning breathing sounds, when there's no clear emotional trigger, when they're at rest and nothing has just happened, that's a different thing, and it's worth paying closer attention to. Genuine, repeated, heavy breathing, excessive panting at rest, or any labored or unusual breathing pattern can sometimes have physical causes that deserve a vet's attention, especially if it's new, frequent, or paired with other changes like reluctance to move, coughing, or seeming generally off. There's also a simple one. An older dog who starts groaning and sighing as they lie down and get up, maybe feeling stiffness or discomfort in their joints, which is also worth mentioning to your vet. None of this should make you anxious about a normal, happy sigh. It's simply the difference between a sigh that fits an emotional moment, which is communication, and breathing that comes out of nowhere and doesn't match the situation, which is the one worth a calm check. So let's leave Bear where we found him, settled on the floor at his family's feet at the end of an ordinary night. He wanted a walk and didn't get it. He told the room about it. And now, finally, with his people close and the day winding down to nothing, he lets out one more long, low, rumbling breath, his muscles going loose, his eyes sliding shut. The same sound he's made all evening. But you can read this one now. This is the content one. This is the sound of a dog who has decided that everything, right here, is exactly as it should be. That's the quiet gift hidden inside something as small as a sigh. It's your dog, narrating their inner weather out loud, trusting that the room is safe enough to do it in. The peace, the disappointment, the reaching out, all of it carried on a single breath, for anyone paying enough attention to read it. And now you can. The next time your dog flops down beside you and lets the day out in one long exhale, you won't just hear a funny noise. You'll hear exactly what they're telling you. If this changed the way you hear that heavy exhale, leave a like and subscribe, because every video here is about reading what's really there behind the everyday behaviors we overlook. Tell me in the comments, what kind of sigh does your dog do most? The happy settle, or the dramatic "I didn't get my way" huff? And if you've ever wondered why your dog yawns when they're not even tired, especially right when you're talking to them, that's the next video, and the reason is more social than you'd guess.